Calaroga Shark Media.
From America, where if you were running as a Republican last night, you probably lost, this is Ballot.
That's right, but think of all the cool free stuff that's magically paid for you're going to get in New York City. Let's hit this. I'm Patrick Gutfield, and Democrats swept Tuesday's elections, winning everything from New York City to California. Voters delivered a report card on President Trump's second term, and let's just say he's not making the honor roll. In New York, 34-year-old Democratic Socialist Zohran Mamdani beat independent Andrew Cuomo and Republican Curtis Sliwa with more than 50% of the vote. Cuomo is the former governor and son of former governor Mario Cuomo. Mamdani is a state assemblyman from Queens. New York looked at a political dynasty versus a guy nobody heard of 6 months ago and said, "We'll take the new guy." That's how unpopular dynasties have become. Mamdani gave a victory speech where he said, "My friends, we have toppled a political dynasty." Then he wished Cuomo well in private life and promised never to say his name again, which is a bold move considering he just said it twice in one sentence. Meanwhile, across the country in California, Governor Gavin Newsom passed Prop 50, a ballot measure that lets California redraw its congressional districts to elect more Democrats. It passed by roughly 30 percentage points. Here's what happened. This summer, Trump pushed Republican state legislators to redraw congressional districts 5 years early to help the GOP win more House seats in 2026. Texas went first. Newsom saw that and said, "Oh, we're playing that game? Hold my kombucha." He introduced Prop 50, also known as the Election Rigging Response Act, which is an incredible name because it's completely honest about what it does. Texas could gain 5 House seats from their redistricting. California's plan could flip 5 red districts blue. Newsom told NBC News, "Trump's changing the rules. He did not expect California to fight fire with fire." Translation, you cheat, we cheat. Welcome to politics in 2025. Newsom is reportedly eyeing a 2028 presidential run, so this is basically his audition reel for Democrats who fight back. His closing argument Tuesday night was that Democrats can de facto end Donald Trump's presidency the minute Speaker Hakeem Jeffries gets sworn in. That's not overconfident at all. Now Democrats in Virginia, Illinois, Maryland, and New York are all pursuing similar redistricting plans. We're in a full-on redistricting arms race. Pretty soon, every state is going to look like a Rorschach test designed by someone having a panic attack. Then there are the governor's races. In Virginia, former Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger won by double digits. She's a 46-year-old former CIA officer who calls herself a passionate pragmatist, which sounds like someone who really means it when they say, "I will find you." Spanberger focused on the cost of living, especially relevant in Virginia, where many residents work for the federal government. You know, the one Trump has been cutting. She said, "Virginia's economy doesn't work when Washington treats our Virginia workers as expendable." Her opponent, Lieutenant Governor Winsome Earl Sears, ran on culture war issues like transgender rights. Spanberger talked about grocery prices. Spanberger won. Shocking. Zohran Mamdani was elected Tuesday as New York City's 111th mayor, making history as the city's first Muslim mayor, first South Asian mayor, and youngest mayor in more than a century. He's 34 years old. The last time New York had a mayor this young, people were still getting around on horses. Mamdani secured more than 50% of the vote. Former Governor Andrew Cuomo finished second with just over 40%. Republican Curtis Sliwa got just over 7%, which in New York politics is what we call ouch. When Mamdani launched his campaign last fall, he was a relatively unknown state lawmaker from Queens. His platform was all about affordability. Freeze rents on rent-stabilized units, build more affordable housing, raise the minimum wage to $30 an hour, make buses free, and tax the wealthy to pay for it. Basically, he ran on making New York livable for people who aren't hedge fund managers. Revolutionary stuff. His campaign was fueled by small-dollar donations, tens of thousands of volunteers, and a savvy social media presence. In June, he beat Cuomo in the Democratic primary by nearly 13 points, shocking the city's political establishment. Cuomo had resigned as governor in 2021 after more than a dozen women accused him of sexual harassment, allegations he's denied. After losing the primary, Cuomo decided to stay in the race as an independent, attempting a political comeback. Spoiler alert, it didn't work. Throughout the campaign, Mamdani and Cuomo sparred constantly. Mamdani accused Cuomo of being beholden to wealthy donors and serving corporate interests. Cuomo dismissed Mamdani as too inexperienced to lead the city. New Yorkers heard both arguments and picked the inexperienced guy. That should tell you something about how they felt about the experienced guy. Mamdani drew support from Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who appeared with him at rallies. He also got endorsements from Representative Jerry Nadler, Attorney General Letitia James, and Governor Kathy Hochul, who endorsed him despite, quote, policy differences. Which in politics means I don't agree with him, but I really don't want the other guy to win. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries finally endorsed Mamdani less than 2 weeks before Election Day, ending months of pressure. Both New York Senators, Chuck Schumer and Kirsten Gillibrand, notably did not endorse anyone. They must have been very busy that week, every week, for months. The race got ugly. Mamdani faced attacks about his age, experience, and progressive agenda. He also came under fire for criticizing the Israeli government and supporting Palestinian rights. Republican Representative Elise Stefanik, a Trump ally, called him a jihadist candidate for mayor. Very subtle. In October, a conservative radio host said on air that Mamdani would be cheering if another 9/11 happened. Cuomo laughed along with the comment. Mamdani called the exchange disgusting and racist. Cuomo presumably called it Tuesday. Earlier in the campaign, a super PAC supporting Cuomo put out a proposed flyer featuring an image of Mamdani that appeared manipulated to make his beard look darker, longer, and thicker. Mamdani accused them of blatant Islamophobia. The super PAC presumably said, wow, what? We were just adjusting the contrast. Donald Trump got involved too, calling Mamdani a radical and a communist. On Monday, the day before the election, Trump endorsed Cuomo and said that if Mamdani won, it would be highly unlikely that the city would receive federal funds other than the very minimum as required. So Trump threatened to withhold money from New York City if they didn't vote the way he wanted. That's not authoritarian at all. Whether you personally like Andrew Cuomo or not, you really have no choice, Trump wrote on Truth Social. You must vote for him. New Yorkers voted for Mamdani anyway. Billionaire Elon Musk also urged New Yorkers to vote for Cuomo on Monday. So Mamdani had Trump and Musk against him. That's the kind of endorsement you can't buy. Well, actually, Musk could probably buy it, but you know what I mean. Mamdani was born in Uganda to Indian parents. He moved to New York City with his family when he was 7 and became a U.S. citizen in 2018. In July, Trump raised the possibility of revoking Mamdani's citizenship. Mamdani denounced it as an attack on our democracy, but an attempt to send a message to every New Yorker who refuses to hide in the shadows. If you speak up, they will come for you. Despite all the attacks, or maybe because of them, Mamdani won. The Guardian reported in August that his campaign inspired more than 10,000 progressives across the country to consider running for office. Turns out getting called a communist by Trump and attacked by billionaires is pretty good for grassroots organizing. Shortly after the race was called in his favor, Mamdani posted a video on X of subway doors opening with the conductor saying over the loudspeaker, "The next and last stop is City Hall." That's how you do a victory post. In New Jersey, Congresswoman Mikie Sherrill also won by double digits. She's a 53-year-old former Navy pilot who proposed declaring a state of emergency for public utilities and freezing electric bills. Her opponent was Jack Ciattarelli, who Trump endorsed. Ciattarelli also went heavy on culture war stuff. Exit polls showed voters cared most about affordability. Who could have seen that coming? Besides, literally everyone's paying for groceries. So here's the big question facing Democrats. Are they now the party of Mamdani's democratic socialism and Newsom's aggressive redistricting? Or are they the party of moderate pragmatists like Sherrill and Spanberger? Tuesday's answer was both, which isn't really a strategy so much as a we'll take whatever works. But all three Democratic wins had one thing in common. They hammered Trump on the economy. The latest Yahoo YouGov poll shows 60% of Americans disapprove of how Trump is handling the economy. 56% think the economy is getting worse. 76% say grocery prices are rising. 56% say Trump's tariffs are making things worse. Trump promised to bring prices down, and end inflation on day one. That was 10 months ago. Milk still costs what it costs. People have noticed. Mamdani's solution? Government-owned grocery stores, rent freezes, free bus fares, free childcare for kids 6 weeks to 5 years old, and raising the minimum wage to $30 by 2030. He'd pay for it by taxing corporations and millionaires. That's not a platform. That's a wish list to Santa written by Bernie Sanders. Sherrill and Spanberger had more modest proposals: freezing electric bills, cutting costs, problem-solving over partisanship. Spanberger said, Virginia chose pragmatism over partisanship. We chose our Commonwealth over chaos. The election was a test of Trump's influence less than a year into his second term. He personally intervened in these races, endorsing Cuomo in New York, Ciattarelli in New Jersey, hosting telephone rallies. He lost every single one. Conservative commentator Eric Erickson had the most brutal take. Trump cannot turn out the vote unless he is on the ballot, and that is never happening again. So Democrats are feeling good. They swept the major races. They're redistricting like their lives depend on it. They've got progressive populists winning in New York and moderate pragmatists winning in Virginia and New Jersey. The only thing they haven't figured out is whether they agree on anything. But hey, they've got until next November to work that out. Portions of today's show were made with the help of people who voted and AI.